Hey everyone, it's Michael Kikle. I hope you're doing well today. I have a review here for another volume of Berserk. This is volume 2, and this is the first time I've ever read it. And like I said about my first volume 1 review on the previous video, I loved it. I thought it was really good, really surprising, a dark fantasy, kind of leaning more into horror than fantasy in some ways. I loved it. I thought it was really solid for how great it was. They don't make stuff like this anymore. And then I have volume 2 here that I just finished the other day. I read I want to say 75% of it one night, 2 weeks ago when I really could not sleep well. Stayed up till 5 a.m., but I was already up at 4, and I went ahead and read again, 75% of this and burned through it and was just obsessed and hooked with it, man. What a gripping read, this whole series so far. First time encountering these. And I love it. I think Volume 2 is possibly better than Volume 1. I'm surprised I could sit here and say that, but I think it was. Now, essentially, at the end of Volume 1, Guts and Puck met this really short, because of the lack of legs, old man who has some missing limbs and a missing eye, and he's covered in bandages. He's you take the impression that he's hiding from this emperor that's kind of running things, the fat, Buddha-looking emperor there. And we don't really understand at first why he's so terrified of this guy. And Puck is not still friends with Guts. I don't know if they ever do become friends. I assume not, knowing the way this world is. I feel like everybody's going to die a horrible death but Guts yet. And these two, mainly Puck, feels bad for the old man. Guts just kind of wants to move on. Guts is the kind of character, he has no reason to help you. He's kind of selfish. And I don't know if that's a curse thing or what, I'm not really sure. You find out more about that in this book, that stuff is great too. But eventually, the old man gets captured by the Emperor and is put on death row to be killed in front of everybody. And Puck wants Guts to save him. Puck can only do so much, and eventually he gets captured too and given as a gift to the Emperor's daughter, which was kind of strange. That was halfway through the book. I'm not meaning to spoil a big plot point in here, but that was interesting because the Emperor, the gross, disgusting Emperor, has a daughter who is normal. Her name is Teresia or Theresia. I think it's Teresia, though. And she's very sweet, very normal, unlike her disgusting, gross-ass dad. And Guts tells Puck before he's captured, I'm not helping this old man. I have no reason to. But for some reason, Guts still stands out in the crowd and watches this whole thing go down with the execution attempt. And it's dark, man. Again, I'm a newbie to Berserk. I knew nothing about it. I haven't seen any anime or movies of it. Haven't seen anything about this. And it is some dark shit. If it has not put chills down your spine between the beautiful, really dark this time, by the way, a nitpick there, artwork, dark in the sense of not being able to see it, not so much the events themselves, despite that being there too, but I'm an edgelord, what can I tell you? I love that. This book, overall, it's really great. It's better than the previous volume, in many ways, I would say. Just as bloody, has even better fights than Volume 1 had, which I thought was really cool. One involving a guy in a suit of armor, that I thought was pretty cool. There's a lot of creativity in here. How much creativity could you possibly have to fulfill my bloodlust as a horror fan with a big old long sword? How many more times could you kill people a certain way? Well, Kentaro Miura had to basically modify that by having the villains that he kills, whether it be henchmen or the Emperor himself, be very unique and very memorable in their own way. A lot of this book, especially with the Emperor himself, reminds me of The Thing, the John Carpenter remake of The Thing from Another World, the Joe Campbell story adaptation movie, whatever. And it's amazing. I think the things he was able to achieve in here, in the same almost fantasy version of the movie The Thing, made it so horrific. It made it so much fun to watch, and just to see what was going to happen, despite, once again, kind of like Volume 1, there's not a straight-out direct plot 100% this is the way we're going to tell this tale. It kind of just meanders into these different events, seemingly, I guess, as an audience member, because Kentaro Miura does it so effortlessly, It's amazing, dude. And like I said, in a lot of ways, the art is even better and more detailed somehow than the previous volume. It's just shockingly great. And again, I've heard Volume 3 is really where it gets even darker than Volume 1 and Volume 2. If that's the case, I will be shocked. Because if it got any darker than this, and I've heard from a lot of people who commented on my original Volume 1 review on my other channel, people say that you won't believe the things that happens in the series, the kind of wild ride you'll be stuck on as you read these. I believe them, but I also know the internet well enough to believe that people overhype things. So I'm hoping that it's not a case of overhype because of how much people that are obsessed with Berserk talk about it and love it so passionately. So I'm hoping it's good. I'm hoping it's going to keep being as great as it is. There's some great stuff in here, man. Especially involving Guts as a character. Some of the stuff involving the curse that he has, the God Hand or whatever it's called. That stuff is so interesting to me. And I want to know more about it. I know I'm taking my time and kind of pacing how I read these books and picking them up over time. That's mainly a shelf space thing than anything, but still, this is like a 40-book series that I'd be willing to read tons of it, dude, because it's just got this thing going on with it that I don't know how to put into words. It's just, there's something about it that's so unnerving, and it makes me uneasy, you know? It bothers me, but I want to know more in a very, again, kind of evil, curious way. And I think that's what makes this so hypnotic as a series. So anyway, if you haven't read Berserk Volume 2 from Kentaro Miura, you need to check it out, but read Volume 1 first, obviously. The one thing I wish that was in these collections was like a list of characters at the beginning of each volume, kind of like Dragon Ball has and Naruto has and so on and so on. That would make this a little bit easier to keep up with some of the names of like the Emperor. But man, what a hell of a read. If you haven't read it before, check it out. But again, start with Volume 1. Thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all. Catch you later, and goodbye.